Lisa. How are you today? Thank you so very, very much for taking the time to be on the show. I really appreciate it. How are you doing?
Good morning. I am fabulous. Thank you. I was very much looking forward to this, and I love to share my story because I'm always hoping that even if I help just one person, then it's worth our time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, can you tell me? I always like to start off by asking, when and how did you first discover clean intermittent fasting?
Sure. I think I discovered clean fasting actually as a teenager. I grew up in this, I was born in 1960. I was a teenager in the 70s. And I had like a little, weight issue, just tiny weight. And when I went into high school, I stopped growing. And I remember, cutting calories and exercising, but I was fasting once a week, even in mid high school. And so that was a short period of time. And then I'm a singer and I perform professionally. And um, sometimes I would have evening gigs on the
Yeah.
weekends. So I would eat dinner like really early before my
Right.
gig because I don't like to sing on a full stomach. And I
Yes.
would drive to the gig, blah, 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 and I would like eat at 4 p.m.,
Right.
not eat the whole evening. And then the next day I would sleep in, blah, blah, blah. And the
Right.
next thing I knew, I was just organically doing fasts.
That is so cool. So it kind of just organically happened with your lifestyle, being a singer, being up late, sleeping in late. I mean, I've heard this a lot. It's like, I'm a natural faster. Oh, I already do that. And it's kind of amazing to hear. So what was your highest weight and how old were you when that happened?
Sure. So I have quite a long journey, but I'll just put it in the Reader's Digest version.
It's okay.
When I was growing up, I was always slender, muscular, active. I always ate when I was hungry, stopped when I was full, never had any problems. Um, in college, I went through a very bad depression. And so I went away to college. I was maybe 110, and I think I was borderline anorexic. I had some restricting issues. And then I went
Sorry.
through a depression. And once I started eating, when I was like 20, I couldn't stop. So I went away to college at 110 and I came back at 160. And I'm 5'3". So think about the percentage of my body. So I went at 110 and then 4 years later, I came back at 160. I look like a different person. And I remember feeling that I couldn't stop eating. Like once I started after the several years of restricting, I felt like possessed, like I couldn't stop.
Mm.
And now in hindsight, I know what happened was much later found out that I'm bipolar and I was going through a severe, severe depression. And my body was probably trying to just self-medicate with
Mhm.
the sugar and the crap
Mhm.
and the stuffing and eating because the
The
feelings were
binging.
awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It,
So
it
my highest was 160 at
160.
age 22 at
Okay.
5'3".
Okay. So that's in the higher range. And so you felt, what were some of your feelings? Obviously, like the normal feelings, discomfort. Did you have any health issues at the time? You were pretty young.
I was very young. I was 22. I felt horribly uncomfortable. Like I felt like enormous because I'm a tiny woman. I'm like now I'm only 5'2.5", and I had always been petite and energetic. I was a dancer. I was a runner. I was a singer. And when I was 160, it was like carrying like blocks of cement around. It was horrible, and it was so people know this. It's a vicious cycle. You eat, you get fat, you get depressed, then you eat more, and it was horrible, and it does impact like every area of your life.
Absolutely.
I was able to. I graduated with high honors, and I won all sorts of awards, and I got to teach. I was a music teacher. I got a job immediately, but
And
um,
thank you for that. Thank you, because I'm a student of music teachers, and they formed my life. So thank you for all of
oh, great, thank
your
you.
education. Yeah, that's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, but the whole thing with gaining weight is, and I don't mean any disrespect. Body positivity is a wonderful thing. You need to love yourself no matter what your weight is. Your weight doesn't define you. But it's a horrible feeling to put on 50 pounds and carrying that around. I mean, it just, everything is enormous. You know, you're sweating and like walking, everything. So I did not have any health issues at that point other than depression, which is a pretty big health issue.
So let's talk about that if we could. I know we talked privately a little bit about mental health and taking care of your mental health. As somebody who suffered my entire life with mental health issues, you've expressed to me that you've suffered with bipolar. How is that affecting your life when it comes to fasting? Have you felt that fasting has helped your bipolar disorder or hindered it, or you don't really see a difference?
Oh, I see it helping enormously. So everybody is different. So this is a multi-layer. This is a big question. So once I correctly got diagnosed with bipolar when I was 31, and then I did go on medication. I was on lithium. And that caused a little bit of weight gain. Oh, well, saved my life. So once I got the bipolar under control with therapy and I started eating more healthy, I was lucky I had a psychiatrist who said, get off the sugar, get off the grains, eat the good fats. Once I got better, when I started eating better, my food fear kind of went away. And I went on keto for my mental health. And when you go on keto, since you're eating so much fat, you're much more satiated, and organically, you don't want to eat as much. So your question, back to your actual question. So fast over, it's given me control over my food obsession, because I think that's part of my mental health issue. So because I'm fasting, I don't have to worry about food all day long. And it clears my head so I can be more in touch with my real feelings. So I do still have anxiety. I do still have bad days. I'm like 99% good all the time, but I can identify what's going on. So fasting only has helped me because it's cleared out the noise in my brain. Does that make sense?
Yeah, the brain fog is gone and now you have control. You feel like you have control over each day when it comes to your food and not obsessing over that food and just opening your window when it's time. I love that. And thank you for sharing that, because it's very like, it's a sensitive topic, and it's one that, people don't really openly discuss, but I feel like it's getting more and more discussed. So I'm very, very happy about that, because it is so important. You are a fitness instructor currently, right?
Yes, ma'am.
What else do you do? You're a retired music educator. You're a fitness instructor. I mean, you are just like a lady of all trades. And so what are you doing currently? You're doing fitness. What kind of fitness do you teach?
Yeah, so I do a lot of things, and I'm really grateful that I am multifaceted. So my number one thing is I'm a singer. I went to college for music ed, and I'm still performing. I sing with the jazz band, and I sing at nursing homes. I teach.
Love that.
It's great. It's great. So, and that's another whole issue about nutrition in senior homes. But anyway, I perform in nursing homes because music is really, really good with people who have dementia and Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So I do oldies and all that. Okay, and so I'm also a long distance ultra runner.
And what does that mean? Explain to me what ultra running is, because I am not a runner.
So, 5K, 10K, 3 miles. And then there's a road marathon, which is 26 miles.
Yes.
And ultra running is more than a marathon. And usually it's done on trails. So I've done 50 kilometers, which is 31 miles. I've done several 50 milers. I've done 100 kilometers. These were all on trails. And I did 100 miler when I was 59. But
my gosh, lady, my hat is off to you.
Thank you. But I go slow. And this is another one of my mental health tools, is my getting in touch with nature, movement, being outside. And the advantage of being an intermittent faster when you do long distance running is I can go like 3-4 hours of running, no food. I bring things with me, but like I did a trail run yesterday for 3.5 hours. Everybody's eating their gels. I'm like, not me. So I am a fasted athlete. I'm a fasted athlete. Yes. And I also teach dance fitness. It's kind of like 80s aerobics, Zumba,
Oh, fun.
I teach a couple times a week because when you run, you go forward, and when you dance, you go sideways, and it's musical, and it's all good.
You're like super active. I love that so very much because it's super important to stay active, especially as we age. I was told I couldn't run anymore, and it was like, crash,
Oh,
world came crashing down. So I'm totally, I love fitness. Movement is medicine. Absolutely, 100%.
yes.
Um,
And I do a lot of hiking too. So it's like, I don't just run. And so movement is medicine. So that bingo, that's
yeah,
so important.
it
So
is
any
so
kind of
important.
movement, yoga, stretching, walking, swimming, biking, dancing around your kitchen. These are all things that help me when I start to slide down that bad slope.
Absolutely, because when we move, we bring out our endorphins, and haha, there goes the
Aha,
serotonin. Aha.
aha,
And
aha.
there we are. And our mood lifts, and amazing things happen, obviously. So how do you feel about community in the intermittent fasting lifestyle? Do you feel like it's important, or are you kind of like you're just not into the community situation? Like, I'm talking about, like, support groups, or like, have you ever done anything like that?
Yes. Oh, I've been very, very active in those communities. And for me, I think they're imperative. I think they're really helpful because I don't know where you live and what your life is like, but in the regular world, people say, oh, you're an intermittent faster. Isn't that starving yourself? And in the athletic world, there are many athletes that are keto adapted, but a lot of the road runners, they eat like every 15 minutes. It's like, what is up with that? So
Yeah,
I find the support in the Facebook group is really enormous. It's enormous. And because it just reminds you that you're doing the right thing.
yeah, I totally agree, because, and that's the reason I started, the group, and I continue to administrate it, because I truly love helping people find community, find this village, because you're, like you said, the outside world, it's not mainstream yet. It's getting there. I don't know if it'll ever get there, but it's very important. I totally agree, and I love to have this community. I feel like I have a little family outside of my own family, which is wonderful.
Right. Yeah. And the other thing I want to add is, like, because we have these communities on Facebook, we're not like conspiracy theorists. There is like scientific data to back up all the things intermittent fasting does for health, for diabetes, for Alzheimer's, for cancer prevention. I'm also involved in the carnivore space as well.
Okay.
And my husband's a scientist, and we're voracious listeners and readers. And if somebody challenges me, I have facts. Like, I have data, I have science. I don't just have anecdotal stories, which I have tons of them. But there's science, and more dietitians. I just listened to a podcast this morning, are breaking rank and say, whoa, we don't need to give carbohydrates to our diabetics. We need to get them on a low carb, high protein, high fat diet, and we need to incorporate intermittent fasting for everyone. Now, fasting, there's different lengths. So maybe not everyone's going to do 24-hour fast, but there is therapeutic fasting to help with health issues.
100%. And I love that you are a researcher. And you're right. There is so much science out there to back this up. And we're not trying to sell you anything or do anything. We're just trying to plant the seeds and share the love, because I wish I knew about fasting 20 years ago. I would have saved
Yeah.
myself so much struggle, and I just want to help somebody else from having those struggles. So we're talking a little bit about feasting, your windows. So obviously you change it up every day. I do. I'm sure you probably do at this point. What does your typical fasting and feasting window look like today?
Yeah. So I'm really glad you asked that, because I have my own notes as well. And I
Okay.
did want to mention that when you're first starting fasting, maybe you want to keep to a really like strict schedule when you're first learning and you're just working on
Sure.
your fasting muscle. But I'm a pretty high athlete. Like, I get 15 miles of steps average on a day.
Wow.
So if I'm doing, like yesterday, I did a trail run. If I'm doing something really big effort, then I'll eat earlier. But my normal schedule is we eat dinner like 5 o'clock, let's say, and then I close my window. I eat a really nutrient dense meal. I'm a carnivore, so I eat lots of meat. I have a little bit of salad every now and then. So I have a really good dinner. I eat until I'm satiated. I have my little decaf coffee, close the window, shut that door. Then I don't eat after dinner. And then the next morning, it doesn't matter whether I run, teach dance, blah, blah, blah. I won't open my window until most likely like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. All right. If I
Gotcha.
have a big effort, if I do like a 20-mile run, maybe I'll open it a little earlier.
Sure.
Or once or twice a month, I'll go to like 20, 24 hours.
Mhm.
Maybe once a month, I'll do like a 36, but I
Mhm.
don't do it every week. I do it
Mhm.
like once or twice a month,
Yeah.
and I let it occur like organically.
Yes.
And some days I'm like, I got to eat at 10 in the morning. Some days I just listen to my body. Now I'm 62. I'm postmenopausal. So the research shows that for women of my age, you're better off mixing it up so your
Yes.
body doesn't get used to it. So I don't schedule the mixing it up. I just let my body say, hey, Lisa, today you're going to eat at 10. Tomorrow I'm going to eat at 2. I just go with the flow.
I can totally relate to that because I think at first you're right. You really just need to nail the clean fast and stick to a schedule you know is going to work. But now you're right. Being postmenopausal, it is the best thing for your body to mix it up. And I like that you're doing it intuitively, listening to what your body needs. And I'm sure after you do your once a month 36-hour fast or whatever, you're the next day you're eating all the things and enjoying the heck out of it. And that's what I love about fasting, is that it makes you just enjoy food so much more, and it gives you total food
Yes.
freedom. I don't really follow any particular diet, but you said you follow carnivore.
Yeah.
Are you strict carnivore?
I would say at this point, I'm meat-based.
Hmm.
I'm meat-based. I did do strict carnivore for about 6 months because postmenopausal, I started having some issues, and I was just really doing it as an elimination protocol.
Okay.
And it actually worked out well because unfortunately this is a year ago, I had broken my arm. And so I was eating all this meat and I was taking collagen, and I healed really quickly. So I'm more keto / carnivore. I want to mention something about the fasting schedule. So I know, I'm guessing your audience knows about cortisol, the stress hormone.
I would hope so. We talk a lot about cortisol.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm a long distance runner. And so more is not always better. So sometimes if I run too much, I actually gain weight in my belly because it's stressing my body too much and the cortisol hits me in my tummy. I want to say this about fasting. So I'm bipolar and fasting is a good thing, but more is not better. So sometimes if I'm fasting and my anxiety starts revving up, I'm like, guess what? I'm not going to fast anymore. So I might not even have a meal. I might just have like a bone broth and put some butter in it. And that's like a Valium. I swear to God, it just calms me down, just gets me through. So I want to say this: if you suffer from anxiety and depression and the fasting is contributing to your anxiety and depression, you need to like listen and allow.
Listen, Lisa, I am
Yes.
so happy that you said all that,
Oh,
because
thank
I
you.
suffer from panic attacks, anxiety
Okay.
disorder. And I've found, and I've actually seen studies, that when your cortisol is raised,
Mhm.
you can actually break your fast just by having your
Oh,
cortisol levels raised so high.
I believe it.
And it's happened to me about 3 times. It was not great. It was during a panic attack, and I felt like my fast was broken, and I just was like, I got to eat something. And I don't even know what I remember what I stuck in my mouth, but it was like that feeling like
Right.
I got to get something in my mouth. And you're
Right.
right. More is not always better. And
Yeah.
listen to your body always.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah. So, this is what I see in some of the fasting communities. People get very rigid. Like well, so-and-so does 20-hour fasts every single day and only one meal a day. So yeah, if you're like 300 pounds and you have a lot of things to heal, maybe you need to do only one meal a day. But I'm a 2 meal a dayer. I mean, once in a while I'm a 1 meal a dayer. Once in a while I'm a 1.5 meal a dayer. But so for me, the fat is really helpful, the good fats for the anxiety. So if I'm like revved up, I'll have like a bone broth or a decaf coffee, and I'll put a scoop of Kerrygold butter in it, and I'll whip it up. And the butter, the fat, what happens is it gets in your brain and it helps like the synapses. And so for me, I'm not giving medical advice, but for me, that is like a panacea. That is like my magic pill for me.
That's really great tips for anybody who does suffer from anxiety, panic
Mhm.
attacks, anything like that. That's living this lifestyle and might be new to it, and have a situation where they're not sure what the heck is happening in their body. Always listen to your body. If you start to shake and feel nauseous, you need to eat something. And if you have anxiety and you feel that, that's probably you're breaking your fast from cortisol. Absolutely.
Right. Mhm.
You know, I like to discuss non-scale victories a lot because
Sure.
it's my favorite part of fasting. What is your most significant non-scale victory that's not related to your mental health, would you say?
Oh, there's so many. There's so many. I think I would say the highest one is not obsessing about food and
Mhm,
being in touch with true hunger.
mhm.
Like this is so remarkable to me. Like the other night we were eating a steak and I ate like half of it and I'm like, I'm full. I can't eat anymore. And I'm like, "Ah!" I'm like, look at me. That's so exciting because years ago I would just keep eating because it was
It
there.
was there. Yeah,
Yeah. So I really, children know when they're full and
sure.
when they're hungry, and babies know that. And I think as adults, like we lose touch with what is true hunger and what is true satiety, because in our culture, people think you're supposed to eat like 3 meals, 2 snacks. You're supposed to eat for this, eat for that. And so I think the number one benefit for me is getting in touch with my true hunger cues and satiety. And I feel so much better about my body, not even the way it looks. I just feel healthier in my own skin because I'm fasting. It's like it's a spiritual thing. My cells, I just feel like, oh,
Yeah, like it's like you have like a almost like an energy, like an aura. And I
yes.
don't want to get like, too personal. And if this is a too personal of a question, you can just say pass or whatever. I'm a very open person and I kind of get the vibe that you are too. One thing I have always wanted to ask somebody and I've never asked.
Oh my.
Um, okay. So I'm going to talk about sex for a minute because
Bring it on. Bring it on.
in a relationship, it's a very important topic. It's a very important aspect of any marriage. And you're married, correct, to a lovely man. Second
Yeah,
marriage?
second marriage.
Okay.
Second marriage.
Would you say, and I know you've had, you know, the sex fasted, would you say that it is better or the same in a fasted
Oh,
state?
so this is just such a great question. And actually, I love to talk about this. I love to talk about it because sex is part of life.
It
So
is.
I like to talk about sex, bathroom things. I like to talk about all the things. So my husband is also an intermittent faster and he's very slender and he's trying to actually gain weight, and it's working for him because he laps and then he eats good and then so anyway, so the sex is way better fasted because you're not worrying about passing gas, you don't have food in your stomach. And then I do want to throw this out. I don't know the age demographic of your audience, but okay, I'm 62. I am postmenopausal like 7 years now, probably. I probably went through my changes in my about age 54.
Mhm.
And so, like many women, I had hormonal changes, which included vaginal dryness, vaginal atrophy, and I'm in a new marriage. We're like honeymoon. And I'm like, what is this? This is not okay. Because
Yeah.
I am a very vivacious, loving, passionate woman. So I did the bioidentical hormones. I did all that. Didn't help me, actually made me very antsy and crazy. But I've been doing my intermittent fasting and my carnivore and my bone broth. And guess what? I am like a 25-year-old now. Ta-da. So just a little help
Oh,
from
you go,
Lisa.
girl. I
Helpful
love,
hint.
I love this conversation so much, Lisa. This is the best because my husband and I have these conversations all the time. Like we literally will, schedule it around our fasts because I really just can't even stand it. Not like at night when I'm like full and bloated and like you said, worrying about all these things. And I'm married 10 years. So I'm
Yes.
like, it's still it's still a thing. So I'm so glad that we could open up about that.
Oh yeah, we're retired. So we're like afternoon people. And it's like we just schedule it. And you know what? You schedule everything else in your life. Why
Why
shouldn't
not?
you schedule your intimacy?
Why not?
Like we schedule our exercise, I'm scheduling the podcast, I'm scheduling my this, that, my this, that. You should schedule your romantic time.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm all about like some spontaneity once in a while, but if you want to schedule it around your fast and that makes your love life better, do it because it is so 100% worth it.
Oh
Let
yeah.
me tell you. So Lisa, I just want to conclude this with what would you say are your top 3 tips for somebody who's coming into this lifestyle as a newbie for success, long-term success? Top 3 tips.
Okay, so I've been asked this question before. So the first tip is you need to give yourself grace. So let's say you're like, I'm going to start fasting today and you'd only go 10 hours, just for a number. So you don't go, oh, I only went 10 hours. You go, yay, yay, I went 10 hours.
I
Yay
did
me.
it. Mm-hmm.
And then the next day, maybe you go 12 or you go 15, or you have a little child at home and you accidentally take a bite of their lunch. And you go, oh, I broke my fast. You just jump right back on the horse. So that believe in success. I see these people posting like, oh, I'm trying, I need help. It's like, no, 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 I'm not trying. I am fasting. Like I am quitting smoke. I'm trying to quit smoking. No, I'm quitting smoking. So you say, I am fasting and you commit to it and you believe in yourself. And the other thing is just allow that it's not always going to be easy. Like sometimes things are hard and we can do
Life
hard
gets in the
things
way,
and we're
right?
not going to die. Yes.
Exactly. I love those tips. Those are wonderful tips.
Thank you.
Lisa, this was so much fun. I'm so glad that we could do this. And I wish you the best afternoon and a wonderful Sunday because you
All right.
have the
Thank you
rest
so
of the
much.
day and I'm just wrapping mine up here.
All right. Thank you so much for interviewing me. I appreciate the work you do. Thank you.
Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. I appreciate you too, and everything that your all of your successes and your tips that you share in our community. I am so, so very grateful for you. Thank you so much, and continue sharing the love.
Thank you.
Thanks, Lisa. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.